Hello and welcome to the Alex English episode of the Hoop Theory podcast, aka episode 76, which is in honor of him arguably being the best player from the 1976 NBA draft. My name is Logan Wortman, recording this one on the afternoon of Tuesday, February 27th, and as usual, I am joined by my youthful co-host, Jacob Roth. Jacob, how does it feel to be on the Alex English episode?
Feels good. You said arguably, who else was in the... Because, I mean, Alex English is a pretty...
Yeah.
I almost said Alex Len. My brain went kind of kaputs for a second. He's like, I mean, there's got to be some pretty heavy hitters in the... It was, you said 76?
Yeah, 1976 draft.
Who else was there?
So I'd say the other contender for being the best is probably Adrian Dantley. Dennis Johnson, I mean, he's the only one out of those guys that was a finals MVP. So that's a pretty big thing to bring to the fight, I guess. Mitch Kupchak, I know him more as a GM than a player, but still a name. Robert Parrish.
Oh, my goodness. Celtics USA.
Yeah.
I mean, they built the entire team outside of Larry Legend on that squad, this draft, apparently.
And most games played by any player ever, I believe, unless Vince Carter passed him. I don't think he did, though. Pretty sure Robert Parrish still has that title.
I think so.
Yeah. But that's
also, I don't think the Celtics drafted... I know that Dennis Johnson was a supersonic.
Yeah, he was.
I don't think the Celtics drafted Parrish. I'm not sure, though. I'm pretty sure they didn't.
Looks like Golden State did, actually.
Okay, there you go.
But I don't know if that's where he ended up playing right away. And it is. Yeah, he spent the first 4 years of his career with Golden State.
But then he was with the Celtics for, like, over a decade. Like, he was there a long time.
From age 27 to 39.
And then I think he technically got another ring with the Bulls at the end. Not technically,
Maybe,
he just did.
Yeah, actually two. Because he was on the 96 team and the 97 team.
Oh.
So he has 5 rings probably.
I only remember the
4.
97.
He says he's on... Oh, that was Hornets. Never mind. I saw a CH and another letter and thought it was CHI, but it's CHH. Which is like the old abbreviation for the Hornets for some reason. But yeah, so he was not on the 96 Bulls. He was on the 97 Bulls only at age 43. But yeah, so there we go. That's Robert Parrish, the Chief, a.k.a. Slim for his nicknames
Robert
on
Parrish
basketball.
still does have it.
Oh, he does?
He had 51 games. Yeah, Vince Carter did not even surpass Kareem.
Oh, really? Okay. I think Vince might have he had something that he was the first to do. Like it was maybe number of seasons or...
Yeah, Vince Carter does have the most seasons.
Okay.
But he has 19 less games than Kareem and quick math, 70 less games than Parrish.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
LeBron, though...
is going to probably pass all of them, honestly.
Maybe. It'll depend on how many years we get of LeBron.
How far off is he right now?
He's at 1472. I'm not sure when this list was updated. I'm not positive.
What website is it?
But it is Wikipedia.
Oh, okay. It could be off, but who knows?
But he is, we'll round up. He's about 110, 115 behind. So if he has like another full season and then playoff push twice, probably.
Oh, so is it that total games, including playoffs? That's what you're looking at?
See, goes back to the rant that... Have we had that rant yet?
We have, yeah, and I'm sure that it's probably not that. I'm sure it's probably only regular season.
This is a list of basketball players who are leaders in career regular season games.
See, that's just the default. That's what
these statistics are accurate as of February 26th of 2024, in yesterday.
Yeah.
So that's up to date.
Yeah, and it looks like according to Basketball Reference, he has played 1,472 games.
Who do you think the most games played by a non-Hall of Famer is? Who do you think that guy would be?
Is it an active player?
No.
Okay, because
yes, it's LeBron. If it's like,
but it's somebody who's already done, who has not made the Hall of Fame and will never. Andre Miller.
Probably. That is a great poll. But no.
I just know that he like never missed a play or never missed a game. Like he played every single game.
He's 21st on the list.
Okay.
So he is 120 behind this individual. I don't know if you know who this guy is, actually.
What years did he play?
He started his NBA career in 1984. He played 10 years with the Atlanta Hawks, and then the journeyman mode turned on.
So he was in the 84 draft?
Golden State. He was in the 84 draft.
Okay, so 85 was his rookie season.
No, 84 draft. So yes.
Okay.
Yes. It was very confusing how it's written.
Yeah, it started off in Golden State, you said?
In Atlanta.
In Atlanta, oh.
He was with Atlanta for 10 years, and then he was just everywhere, like no longer than 2 years at any of these other places. Miami, Golden State, Houston, Toronto, Denver for a year, or part of a year. He played for the Raptors, Nuggets, and Rockets all in the 2001 season. The Spurs, the Hawks, and the Mavericks. The Mavericks, he was an NBA champ in 2003 with the Spurs. He was a one-time NBA All-Star and a one-time NBA third team.
Okay, so I should know who this is.
In 1992.
Can you give me his height?
12 points a game, 8.5 rebounds, and just under an assist. He is 7 foot tall.
Oh, geez. 7 foot tall. Drafted in.
Wait, do I
84? Know? What pick was he? Was he
pick number 11?
Oh, okay. So he's not Sam Perkins, probably, or is it Sam Perkins?
No.
Okay.
It's not Sam Perkins. This individual attended Michigan State University. Would that make?
What was your question?
No, I just was. I'm wrong. I have my years mixed around.
Man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this guy unless you feed me some more hints. But take me there.
Okay. No, he probably won't be a Hall of Famer. He just won't be. Hawks for 10 years. I'm trying to think if there's like a. Oh, okay. The trade was so bad that he is why Pat Riley got into Miami. He was traded to the Heat, and the trade was regarded so poorly that it eventually led to hiring Pat Riley as their new head coach and GM in 1994.
So he was traded from where?
From the Hawks, and then Grant Long and Steve Smith were traded for him.
I've heard that before.
It did not go well.
Is this person, is he white?
He has a white person name, but is not white.
A white person name.
Well, it's not like an explicit. It's a pretty Jeff. Racially ambiguous name. It's the same vibe as Jeff, but it's not Jeff.
Same vibe as Jeff.
My favorite Timberwolf of all time?
Kevin Duckworth.
It is Kevin. No.
Kevin.
Starts with a W. This is tough.
Kevin Willis?
It is Kevin Willis.
Oh, okay. I kind of know who that is just by the name a little bit, but not all those details you're giving me. I would not have known.
Weren't not helpful. Yeah. The next one in line, it was Terry Rozier. Sorry.
Oh, really?
I thought Scary Terry. No. I thought Scary Terry.
Jason Terry.
My brain broke. I apologize. Yeah, that rounds out the top 10. And then you've got a whole lot of just all-timers, which makes sense that if you stick around for that many games, you'll probably end up pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you recognized almost every single name in the top 25. Yeah. I also like how I opened this saying, I'm not going to put us down rabbit holes. Look what I did.
I was just looking at the clock thinking the same thing. But, yeah. No, I think that works for an intro, though. Just talking about the best players or the players who have played the most games in the NBA.
Alex English feels right, though. I think that he was the best player in the 76 class, or arguably so. And since we're like a Nuggets adjacent NBA podcast, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, we're not going to quibble about it too much. He deserves his own episode. I wish we would have given it to him at episode 2, but that would have been even more of a hot take to pick him over Moses Malone for jersey number 2. But so I guess moving into what we want to talk about today, Jacob mentioned before we started recording that he had an update to make basically to a conspiracy that he's had. You may have seen a clip out there.
Robot refs.
About robot refs, yeah. And so he has more thoughts on that, I guess.
Okay, so This is coming off of, we're recording this February 27th in the afternoon.
Uh-huh.
The game that happened last night between the Knicks and the Pistons was so bad. Like, DiVincenzo, the big ragu, essentially chop blocked Asar Thompson.
At the very end, the last play.
At the very end.
Yeah.
And then in that chaos, Josh Hart just gets a layup off.
Uh-huh.
And
gets fouled. Gets the end.
That's how they win the game.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Is that play. Anyway, so thinking about the refereeing, it was atrocious in that situation. Like, there's times where there's incidental contact, and this was Thompson had started to gather the ball, and then he just gets taken out at the legs.
Yeah, and you could argue even the loose ball before that, when Simone Fontecchio got it, you could argue he was fouled as well when they got the ball back from him, and then there was another steal, another loose ball that Asar Thompson got, and then he got clobbered by two people.
Yeah, so it was just a poorly reffed end of the game.
Yeah.
We've had issues with ref this entire season, issues with refs last season. I think there is a conspiracy. There is a scandal on the brew, and a scandal that the NBA is not foreign to. I think that there is a ref unit putting money on NBA games.
There has to be, honestly. I shouldn't say there has to be.
I think that is going to be the catalyst to get us to robot refs.
Honestly,
where there will have to be a panel of while all these games are going on, they'll have the automatic thing, and they'll literally just be a human with a whistle. It could be make it the mascot. I don't know. Do whatever you want. That'll stop the game when penalties and things happen. There'll be a ref crew there, but the refs won't have. They'll have an earpiece in, and there will be an AI saying things to do with a 10 or 15 people panel watching what the AI says and being yes, no, you know what I mean? Almost always will be yes, but then there'll be those weird situations where there's bugs or it's interpreted in a weird way. I also think that we're going to have a lot more rules coming because there was recently the NBA talked about making there be less rules that help. Sorry, JJ Redick, cover your ears. Helping the offense. There's too many rules that assist the offense, so they're going to put more. Pretty much remove some defensive rules, and I think the big one that's going to happen is 3-second defensive violation.
Do you think they're going to remove that?
I think so, or
that
change it in some way.
That would be so wild. That would completely change the game.
Well, it'll make Rudy Gobert even more of a force than he already is.
Way more. It would. That is insane. That is an insane change. So many of the league's best scorers, you hear them talk about how what they do from possession to possession, posting up the mid range or something like that. The thing that they're most commonly looking at is the guy on the weak side in the paint, because they're watching when he steps in and they know when he's going to have to get out, and so that's how they time when they start to attack and things like that, and how where that guy is going to be in terms of reading the players on the backside, picking apart who the open guy is, all those kinds of things. It's most of the NBA offensive actions, really, for the most part, are built around just that dynamic, that concept of when that weak side guy has to get out of the paint.
Yeah, and I don't know. This is just my brain was cooking with a lot of sauces, and I think I read that on a couple Reddit posts or nowhere reputable. Not again. If you're coming to Hoop Theory thinking that the dumb one of the two of us has real NBA sources, I apologize. You're crazy. That's not how this works. This is just me cooking with my brain. Anyway, I think that there's going to be changes, and I think they're all going to make the rules more black and white and less ambiguous, because the NBA, I think more than any other sport, has very ambiguous wording on their rules intentionally. But I think that the robot refs that I think are coming are going to make it more of a chopping block. This is the rule, and maybe add more rules so they can round it better. But that's just how it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Or every call with, and it might. I don't think it'll start the whole season's going to be robot refs. But in the 5 minutes, at the last 5 minutes, all ref calls will be reviewed by AI and then by a panel or something, because there is too many intensive moments. Also, I think they're going to do some sort of like, the ref won't have to tell the public, but the ref will have to explain to a human being that does not watch what happened for the ejections to happen. What did he say to you to get him ejected?
Mm-hmm.
What happened? Refs are gonna turn into cops. They're gonna need body cams because the reffing is so bad.
Yeah.
And honestly, we've dogged on our boy Monty Williams a little bit this year, justifiably so. But the way that he handled that press conference was, pardon my language, effing awesome.
Honestly, I haven't even seen that, so this is news to me.
No, he got in front of the mic and said pretty much exactly what I'm blanking on his name now. Raptors.
Darko Rajakovic.
What he said, he just said that, but calmer. And it was like, not even calmer, just more concise. And then instead of continuing, he got up and left. He essentially, you need to look at this after, Logan.
Uh-huh.
It is so good. He's like, I don't want to misquote the guy, so I'm not going to say anything he said. Like, but the gist of it was, why? If we're not going to get good refs, that's bullcrap. That is you can't write up an easier call to make on a intense possession at the end of a game. If we're in these big moments and we're getting done dirty like that, why are we even here?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here?
Mm-hmm.
It had shades. It was chef's kiss.
I could
and
definitely
then he said,
see that.
I'm done. I don't care. Got up and left.
So I'm guessing he's getting fined as well, probably.
I hope he doesn't. He didn't. It was so chef's kiss. I'm about to start a GoFundMe to pay for his fine. It was so good. Everything he said was, he didn't attack refs specifically. He just was more saying, like, at the entirety of the NBA, I've got guys that are playing it all out to be in these big moments.
Mm-hmm.
We just need to be better. And then that was it. It was
as
sick.
A league.
He is for sure going to get fined $25,000, like,
or
100 times out of a.
Yeah.
Yeah, he will for sure.
I saw Ty Lue got fined 35 for that. Have you seen what he did about the refs?
He got 35?
35,000 for. I mean, that was it was different. It was a very different vibe than what Darko did, because Darko was in like a post game press conference. Ty Lue was like just walking like vigorously through the tunnels, yelling about like, where are the refs at now? Like that type of thing. So it had a different energy for sure.
It's just irritating to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's refs just need to have a press conference and get
they do
grilled.
Now. The pool reporter or whatever talking to the crew chief now.
No, I want the same way the NBA has player, coach, player, or whatever the way they want to do it, or college. The refs all sit at a table.
And they all
if you
can
want to be an NBA ref and get paid for a full-time job,
yeah.
I get held accountable at my job.
Uh-huh.
Everyone gets held accountable at their job. There's more accountability for the person that's grilling hamburgers in a Chicago McDonald's. Because if they undercook the burger, they get fired. If
Why
they do it
Chicago?
I just was thinking of a random city. I was trying to get more of a deeper cut. Albuquerque popped into my head. I also thought of like West Lafayette. That's where Purdue's at.
Okay. In Indiana?
Yeah, West Lafayette, Indiana is where Purdue University is. But why it feels like there's, and I'm sure that there's behind doors things, but why does it feel like there's more accountability for those people?
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I'm not disparaging that as a job. I've done that type of job as a human being. Than there is for the highest level of referee.
Yeah.
In almost the world, because these are full-time refs. It's not the NFL where it's lawyers doing it for fun.
And you could argue, because Major League Soccer, not Major League Soccer, because that's American, but like Premier League and those things, like they're not, I don't know exactly how that works, but I know that like they have a bunch of different leagues. Like Premier League is like one thing that's like, you know, the best of the best teams, I guess. But I guess what I'm saying is NBA is like, that's everything that there is for professional basketball, you know, at the highest level. It's like all just one league, 30 teams. And basketball is the second biggest sport in the world right now, behind soccer, behind football, what the world calls football. So you could argue the NBA might be the biggest league on the planet, depending on
it's the equivalent of the Premier League, but it's like only it.
Yeah. Uh-huh. It's the only thing.
No, Champions League. Champions is where you take all the big dogs.
Yeah, that's the winners from each league. But isn't Premier League like the highest league that there is?
We're working on soccer. We got our buddy. We talk about him a lot, Anthony. He's given up on the Sixers, and he's down the rabbit hole of soccer this year. So we're working with him to learn more about soccer for everyone that is like 12 that really cares about Messi playing for FC Miami or whatever MLS.
That's called. Yeah.
I just struggle to watch soccer.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple. But anyway, getting off of soccer and back to what is, I think that there is something fishy going on, whether there is actually refs putting money on games, or it's the NBA is being like, we need outrage to push this like AI ref thing forward.
That way they could make more money, because I feel like that makes it infinitely easier to bet on games and control the outcomes of games when you have the script or the programming to this AI thing, you know.
Oh, what? I didn't even think. Oh.
Yeah.
Are sports over? Is this done?
I don't know.
Also,
all these
I will push
monetary
back
incentives.
Yeah, I will push back slightly on not on your point, but on the point that people make of games are rigged. I don't know if you've ever tried to put a basketball in a hoop. It's not exactly super easy. Like, you can't just always do that on demand. The closest to that is NBA players, but like, they didn't write in the script, Kawhi Leonard in the corner, Joel Embiid falls, it bounces off the rim somehow 4 times and goes in. That was just basket. That you can't script that really for that dramatic of a moment.
Yeah, I think what people think for the most part. There might be some people like my dad has said before. I'm exposing my dad here, but he said that he thinks that players are in on it, which I don't. There's no freaking way. I think what most people think who think that leagues or the NBA is rigged is that like refs and things are just tilted. You know what I mean? They tilt things to try to make an outcome happen. You can't really get everybody to be coerced, and you know that there's no way you could keep something like that a secret. And there's no way the most competitive athletes in the world just all of a sudden are like, I don't care. I'm going to throw this game because I don't care about competing because I'm getting this maybe little bit of a kickback, you know, because how does that even work? They're getting like some percentage of this kickback of like winning bets when they are making millions and millions of dollars a year already. You know, it doesn't seem like there would be that much of an incentive. And if there was, honestly, then there wouldn't be a lot left over for other people. But
I feel like it would be the opposite type of player that would leak if it was real. It wouldn't be the hyper competitive guy. I feel like it would be friend of the podcast, Nikola Jokic type of players that would be like, I don't really care this much. This seems a little crazy to do this.
Yeah.
And if anybody's got integrity for like sports gambling, it's got to be the horse guy.
That's true.
That's big gambling money. Anyway, didn't want to go down that rabbit hole too much. I apologize. I just yelled at people for like 30 minutes, or I don't know how long we've been talking. I just am like very, very passionate about robot refs is coming, and that game yesterday made me feel more sure of that than anything has ever done before.
Yeah, makes sense. I could definitely see that happening, but yeah, that's just a wild web of messiness on how that all would work. But we're going back to games though that happened recently. Just because I feel like we've talked about Klay Thompson a decent amount recently, like more so in a negative way, like, you know, like kind of talking about how people who think that he's been held back on the Warriors throughout his time there, I disagree with, because I think he's been elevated by the system he's in. Yep. Not to say he's not a great player, he is, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do here, is give him a little bit more flowers than I feel like I was giving him, is because I just watched him almost beat the Nuggets the other night.
If he only had to put together 24 minutes, you're absolutely right. But the man had to put together a full 48, which you could not do. Mm-hmm. So you can give him flowers, but I'm going to set a couple of them on fire.
Did you watch the game?
Yeah.
Oh, you did? So, like, the first half, he just came out. He had 16 points in the first quarter, and he came off the bench.
He was saucing in the first half.
Yeah.
Because I think he ended the half with 23. I think 23. If I'm remembering the number right.
I think so. Or
somewhere in the 20s for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the second half,
I don't even know how many.
Big old 0. Which was why I was like, you need 48 minutes, not 24.
But the first half we were down. The Nuggets were probably down by, I don't even know how bad the lead got, but it was definitely like close to 20 at one point. And but the second half, there was no looking, like going into the halftime, like at the end of the last half of the second quarter, I'd say, is when the Nuggets really started showing up and playing like themselves. And it was like all downhill for the Warriors from there. But that was just a really entertaining game. But I did want to give Klay Thompson just like a shout out of like not just that game, but the past several games that he's been coming off the bench. He's been doing really well. The first game he came off the bench, he had 35 in that game.
He definitely took, I don't want to say personally, but like the first bench game, he was like, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I also like why there's so many unique names.
Can't say it. Can you just try or tell me what?
It's Podzimski. Pajimski?
Yep. Brandon Pajimski. You can call him Pods. Most people call him Pods.
Well, Pods is not bad. I'm a fan-ish.
Yeah.
He's not done super well with the starting role. It's like kind of like a Lou Williams fallacy where if he comes off the bench, he like unlocks extra powers. But he's who they have slotted in as opposed to Klay Thompson.
Yeah.
As Pods is starting now.
Yeah, Pods. And Kuminga is another guy that they put in, I think, because they took Looney out of the starting lineup and put Kuminga in. So they're a little bit smaller now with Draymond and Kuminga as the bigs. But Kuminga's been playing great ever since he, like that whole spat with Steve Kerr that he had about not getting playing time. And then they started giving him playing time. He's been doing really good ever since then. So, the Warriors, though, like that kind of leads us into this thing that we wanted to talk about today, which was kind of open-ended, but it's like just looking at like the standings and where, like I guess coming down the stretch of this season with not a lot of it left here, we're at game like, I don't know, 60 something for a lot of teams, I'd say almost.
I'd say right around 60 because I know Celtics are 25 and 12 or 45 and 12, soon to be 46 and 12 when they beat the Sixers tonight.
45 and 12. Okay, so that's well over 60.
No, just shy of 60. I'm 57.
Math. Yeah.
57. So I think most teams, we could just, for all extents and purposes, right around the 60 game mark, we're to the 20 to 25 games left in the regular season kind of stretch. And things are shaping up interestingly, for sure.
And the Warriors are one of those teams that I feel like are, they've been struggling throughout most of the season, but ever since Draymond came back and ever since they've kind of gone with Kuminga and some of the adjustments they've made, they've been playing better as of late. But there's multiple teams like that because the Western Conference is just very, very deep, just like it is most years, but even more so this year than the last several for sure. With the Timberwolves and the Thunder being at the very top, they've been at the top this whole year. But, we got the Nuggets and the Clippers. That's kind of like the solidified top four. But then, Pelicans, which is a team I feel like I've not heard much about at all recently, but they're the sixth seed.
Outside of the hilarity. I need to touch on this for 1 second. Stephen A. Smith, for some reason, decided to say it's not about what Zion does on the court. It's about how many cheeseburgers he eats after.
That sounds like something he would
say. Which is a wild thing to say.
Yeah.
And then, shout out to the Pelicans media team. They went in on Stephen A. They essentially just said like, F it, Stephen A. Smith highlights. And it's like him falling or slipping on the court and then showing his like stat line when he played 1 year of college basketball or high school. I think it was college basketball.
Yeah.
It's like 1.6 points. And it's like a picture of Stephen A. And then, and then they took the Wilt Chamberlain picture and put Stephen A.'s face on it and then changed the 100 to the 1.6.
Yeah.
Or 1.5. They just came to the defense of Zion in the most social media way possible, and I loved it. I was all for it, and it was awesome. So I just wanted to bring that up while we touch on the Pelicans. Because they have been a quietly, like, solid... I mean, it's not really quiet. Everybody knew they'd be a solid team, but it was more like, oh, can they all stay healthy? And for the most part, a lot of them have.
Yeah.
Which I think helps. I mean, they've just been quietly really in that, not for so much anymore, but before the Clippers got Harden and really got things figured out more so than got Harden, because they had that 8 games where it took them to figure things out.
Mm-hmm.
The Pelicans have just really hung in there from that 4 to 6 spot, and right now they're sitting at the 6th spot, but they're tied for 5th with the Suns. So it's
yeah, and there's a lot of teams around that range. We could see Sacramento or Dallas overtake that spot. The Lakers are outside of that, but they are the next team down there, a couple games behind the Mavericks, or 3 games actually to be exact. And then the Warriors are right behind the Lakers at 10, and they're a good 3 games ahead of the Jazz. So I feel like in both conferences, really, we have a pretty solid top 10. In the East, I would say, just jumping over there, in my opinion, this is the best example of why there shouldn't just be an automatic play-in no matter what. In my opinion, I think they should keep it the way they did it the first year with the bubble, where you have to be within a certain number of games from the seed above you in order to trigger the play-in tournament.
Play-in.
Because why, it looks like about 5-game difference between the Magic at 8 and the Bulls at 9 right now. And, just extrapolating out the pace of that, 5 games right now is worth more than 5 games at the end of the season. So that's projected to be a little bit bigger, just, how proportions work.
If things stay perfect, it'll be a 6.5, 7 game jump between the 8 and the 9. Not between 9, that's between the 8 and the 9. And then the 9 and the 10 will have a bigger gap even, maybe by 3 games. So it'll literally just be, Pacers and Magic, if things stay where they're at right now, just put a couple extra games on the tires for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously they do have a reason, quote unquote, but I haven't heard you say that before directly, but that's a great idea. There needs to be a game threshold to trigger the play-in, but then people would get weird about things being even on both sides, and
really
people are just.
I
think so. I just think people are always weird about things like that.
But I feel like this is a very thing that logical. Somebody could be weird about the way it is. You know what I mean?
True.
This team won 6 less games than us, but we have to play them for 1 game to see who gets in. It's kind of dumb. You know what I mean? I get the play-in tournament when you're close, but when there's a pretty big gap, that's when I just feel why are we doing this? But I feel like it's a little bit unfair. That the team in the 8th spot has done more than a normal team in the 8th spot has done to separate themselves from the rest of the pack, because they have a good many games lead on whoever is next. But I guess that just ends up not mattering at all. So that's my opinion. But either way, I like the play-in tournament. I prefer it.
The idea of it,
to exist rather than not at all. So I like that. It definitely adds some excitement coming into the playoffs. And in the West though, is where I feel like a lot more of the better teams are down there. In the East, there's not really. I don't think the Magic, as good as the Magic have been and how much I've really liked watching the Magic this year, I don't think they're really doing anything in the postseason. Just putting that out there. But looking at the equivalent of them over in the Eastern or in the Western Conference, the Mavericks with Luka and Kyrie Irving, they're a team that I could definitely see winning a playoff series, or maybe even 2 if things go really wild.
Depending on the matchups, absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they're at the 8th spot right now. And the Lakers right behind them with 2, right before we started recording, talking about the best duos in the league. They were number 2, I believe.
LeBron and AD, yeah.
LeBron and AD, yeah.
This was a list by Colin Cowherd. This was not a...
That's a very genuine place to put, I don't know who else to put it to.
It's not crazy. No. Yeah. It's... Because, you've got... Murray, Jokic is 1.
Yeah.
Not a question. And then... AD, LeBron
Booker,
are probably
Durant.
the solid 2. Booker, Durant, Tatum, Brown,
yep. Mm-hmm.
Luka.
Kawhi, Paul George, maybe? I don't know.
Kawhi, Paul George would probably be above Luka and Kyrie. I mean, Giannis and Dame have disappointed.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of maybes, but none that it's LeBron and AD probably. Those are 2 very good players.
And they're the 9 seed in the West right now, which is pretty wild. With both of them being pretty healthy this whole... I don't even know... I know for a while AD had only missed 1 game this whole year. Is that still the case?
I'm not sure actually. I have not, because I know that he said I'm not missing anything, and then missed Was it the first game? No,
it wasn't the first. Pretty early on.
Super early.
Yeah. But yeah, I think he's stayed relatively healthy though, even if the number is not just one.
He's played in 55, so it's got to be pretty close.
Yeah, he's played in 55, and the Lakers have played 59 games.
So missing 3, but for AD, that's
4.
Huge. That's on pace to miss 5-6 games. That's like almost to the point where you'd be like giving him the nod of like, oh yeah, he was always available. Only missing 5 or 6 games.
Yeah, exactly. That's huge. That is very major. And just seeing that, so like all these teams in the West are like, there's some interesting things that can happen for sure. The top 2, I guess this is kind of where I want to zoom in for a little bit on the Wolves and the Thunder. How seriously, I guess, are people, do we personally and maybe other people are taking them with, especially with the Gordon Hayward addition to the Thunder. I've seen a lot of people saying like it's over, like they got their vet. They might actually like they're a real contender, and so who knows? I guess but I guess throwing it over to you, could you see the Wolves or the Thunder representing the West in the NBA Finals?
The Thunder infinitely more than the Wolves.
Really?
No, I shouldn't say infinitely. This year, the Wolves' offense has just scared me. Their defense is
I use this verbiage a lot, and I'm always confused. When you say scares you, do you mean like I can't tell when you're talking from the perspective of a Celtics
worries
fan?
Me.
But like, worries you for like their team, like their chances
is worrisome. Okay. They're not consistent. They're like Nebraska basketball on steroids, where your offense, you've got guys that can go do it. You've got Cat that can go score. You've got Ant that's just a walking hyper-speed bucket. Mm-hmm. But I think that when playoff time comes around, Ant could just do it night in and night out. But that's just a lot to be like, our offense in the playoffs has to be one guy. It doesn't have to be, but like, in terms of guys you feel good about, it's just tough because I feel like they don't have the same things like the Nuggets. Yeah, Jokic is like the focus, but like, the way the Nuggets operate is they have 3 or 4 guys that can get 10 to 15 because of how Jokic sets them all up.
Yeah, and depending on the matchup, how they're taking advantage of things. Like if there's a team you're going against that's kind of smaller, Aaron Gordon is going to be playing bully ball and things like that. Yeah, but I like the Wolves though. To me, is like what really bolsters their chances of being able to come out of the West is they might be the best team suited to dethrone the Nuggets in the West.
Yes, but then my thing was I like the Thunder because they, almost to the same level of the Nuggets, play so well at home, and if things don't change, the Thunder would have home court. Mm-hmm. The Nuggets aren't bad on the road, but there's definitely a difference.
Yeah, we're slightly above 500, I believe. We're 2 games above 500.
17 and 14 is what I'm seeing right now.
So 3 games.
So 3 games. And 22 and 13 at home. And this year's also a weird one for the Nuggets. And that's the other thing that I think the Clippers and the Nuggets are getting like ignored way too much because the Nuggets started the season with like, I don't want to say complacency, but they didn't start off guns firing. They did, but then things kind of went into a lull. They have not looked like the best.
We're 22 and 5 at home. I think
that's conference. Yeah, I read conference. Sorry, I was like,
I was thinking,
losses, that feels wrong.
Yeah, I was gonna say 13 losses at home. But 22 and 5.
22 and 5. I was reading conference.
Yeah.
22 and 5 as opposed to 17 and 14. But I think, in just straight up in the standings, my point is that the Nuggets and the Clippers both had these like weird lulls or growing pains. More for the Clippers. Nuggets kind of had the championship high complacency where they dipped down a little bit, and then into the All-Star break they had another one. Uh-huh. But it seems like they're out of it. They've gotten things figured out. They're kind of a monster again. Not that it really shocks anybody. So I lean Nuggets out of the West without a shadow of a doubt. But the Timberwolves, the offensive thing like worries me a little bit for them. But then like the Thunder, they play really well at home. The Clippers, I think, might be the most just. If they're on, they're just kind of on, and you can't do much about it unless you're like insane. And it's the West playoffs is going to be very fun this year. The first round won't be, The second round will be, and it's just a slap fest that I will watch all what eventually turns into 14 games in that second round of the Western playoffs, because it's going to be just juice. Just so fun. And I don't think that the gap between any team is enough to make it go like, oh, they're going to get blown out or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Nuggets and Jamal Murray go crazy sicko mode and I'm not ready for it on the Thunder, but I just think that the playoffs will be a lot of fun this year, especially in the West.
Yeah. I'm not super scared of the Thunder personally, just because they have no big man. Chet is the only size they have, and Chet has been, for the people, I know there's a lot of people make a big deal that I think he had 8 blocks in one of the games against the Nuggets, and people were saying Chet got 8 blocks on Jokic, but if you go look at the film, he literally did not block Jokic once.
And I think if I remember right, 2 or 3 of them were on a one little in the paint.
Yeah, on the same possession. Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't 8 blocks is 8 blocks.
Yeah.
But
it was
were not on Jokic.
It wasn't the matchup of Chet versus Jokic. Yeah.
It just was the Denver offense doing what they do, which is taking what's given to them, and the OKC defense being funnel everything into the extremely lanky 7'3" guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's how it worked. Yeah.
So yeah, that's the reason I'm not super scared of the Thunder as a Nuggets fan. But Wolves are a team that I'm more afraid of. And the reason the Clippers, even though they're very, very good, I still have a pretty good level of confidence with them, is because, honestly, just because of the logos, looking at the 2 logos next to each other, the Nuggets and we own the Clippers. You know what I mean?
How do you feel about the new logo? I love it.
Oh yeah. I actually really like that a lot. It gives me vibes of, I've seen things like that before, like mock-up logos for them that I've downloaded on 2K because every time I start a new league on 2K, I always move the Clippers to San Diego and change the branding.
I wanted them to do the Clippers. I liked it. I wanted them to do the San Diego colors. I was really hoping that they would to do that, baby blue and orange.
Orange, yeah.
I thought that would have been sick. Obviously, that did not happen.
Yeah. They went to even darker blue. They went super dark blue and red.
Almost like the dark blue in the Nuggets logo. It feels that dark.
Yeah, maybe even darker, honestly. I feel like it's like the Wizards almost, or maybe even darker than that. It looks like the ocean. I think is probably why they're doing that color. It looks like water.
That deep of a blue.
Yeah. But I really like the jerseys also. I like it all that stuff, honestly. It's going to be exciting to see with them moving into their new arena next year, the Intuit Dome. Because apparently recently, in a Clippers game, there was, at the end of the game against Sacramento, it was a Clippers home game, though. The entire crowd was chanting "Light the Beam" as the game was ending.
Oh, jeez.
So it's not even when they're playing the Kings, it's not a home court advantage, which is just nuts. But
should the Clippers try to be the team in Vegas? They've already built the dome, so they can't.
Yeah.
But do they just need to get out of California it's kind of a meme, but it's also kind of, I don't think they ever can escape it.
I think moving to the Intuit Dome will make it at least a little bit better, because then now it's not literally the same place all the Lakers fans go to Lakers games. Now they can just, because that's been the problem for a while, is so many Lakers fans buy
just like basketball and just go to.
Yeah, they buy the Clippers tickets and go and just root for the other team no matter what. You know what I mean? It's just funny, but I think that's the reason when we were doing that rivalries draft back several episodes ago, why I felt like the Clippers and Lakers rivalry was just on a whole different level than the Nets and Knicks. Because the Knicks, I feel like, are pretty, they don't really care. They're apathetic towards the Nets, but the Lakers just absolutely hate, they almost go harder cheering against the Clippers than they do cheering for the Lakers sometimes.
Yeah. No, it's a weird deal.
Yeah. So that's why I think I kind of am convinced that wasn't a traveling Kings crowd necessarily, as much as it was just people who hate the Clippers joining.
It was just a Lakers crowd that just put on purple.
Yeah.
I guess they could wear purple Lakers stuff. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. Honestly.
But maybe that is part of the the Clippers, just looking at the logos, I kind of honestly feel what you're feeling a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
As I'm looking at them next to each other in the standings. I just know that I'm excited for whatever happens in the Western Conference playoffs. 5 sure.
Yeah. It's just, I'm pretty sure, I don't think we're undefeated against them, but the record is something wild. Ever since we were down 3-1 to them, we've lost like 1 or 2 games to them since then.
No, it's like Tom Brady against the Buffalo Bills. Yeah. He was like something in 3. He lost 3 times to an NFL franchise he had to play twice a year.
Yeah, and we play the Clippers at least 3 times a year. So
at the minimum.
Sometimes 4.
And then playoffs.
Which we haven't faced them in the playoffs again. Right? Yeah, no, we definitely haven't. But in 2020, the bubble season, we were down 3-1 in the second round and then won the next 3 straight. And then really, I can't remember losing a game to the Clippers since then, to be honest. So
that's impressive.
Yeah. So I guess not really scared of them, and it's just a superficial thing, honestly, or superstitious maybe. But it's the Clippers curse that is very real. Even when they finally broke it and made it to the conference finals, they all, like, Kawhi got injured and they weren't able to actually follow through and make it past the conference finals. But yeah, 1 conference finals appearance in all of their franchise history, going all the way back to, that's just wild. You know what I mean? Like, there's all these teams that are franchises that don't have a ring yet, but up until very recently, just a few years ago, the Clippers had never even made a conference finals in their entire existence. And they're not an expansion team from very recent. They've been around. They've been in Los Angeles since like the 70s or the 80s, something like that. But going all the way back to the Buffalo Braves, I don't know if that includes their history for not making the conference finals, because that'd be even crazier back then with
more depressing. Yeah. When there's not that many teams, you just have to have a one kind of okay year.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's the reason why I feel pretty good about the Nuggets. But and then because outside of that top 4, I'm not really scared of anybody looking at them. Like Lakers, I feel similar. I don't feel like we own the Lakers like we do the Clippers, but we've been beating them every time we play them, the last couple of years as well. So don't feel too bad about that one. Suns, another team I'm not super afraid of. Pelicans, a team I'm just not, I don't buy necessarily as like a team that can really do it. They're like a good regular season team, might make some noise in a playoff series, but beyond that, I don't know. But yeah, Wolves and Thunder though are definitely like, they're contenders, I would say, but not to the level of the Nuggets, I would say, and also even the Clippers, I would probably rank above them, is how I would sort things out west. Just taking a look at also these teams below.
They never made the conference finals as the Buffalo Braves. They had a slight problem of running into the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, that's also funny repeatedly. Because they traded, the owners of those teams swapped teams just straight up at one point. I believe that's how, I don't know if Red Auerbach was involved in that. Because he was team president, Red Auerbach.
Yeah.
Whoever number 1 is retired for in Boston, that jersey number 1. Because I know jersey number 2 is retired for Red Auerbach because he's like, the way they state it is like the only person who can be number 2. Like he's number 1 outside of whatever that guy's name is, the original owner, or not original. I don't know. The guy that they have retired for number 1, who was the owner of the Celtics at one point.
Walter Brown.
I
had to think really tough and Google it because I was terrible. Yeah. Bad Celtics fan. I apologize.
Yeah. It probably would help, like, knowing all the history stuff if you were, like, immersed in Celtics fandom with, like, a bunch of Celtics fans around you. But that's just the way it is.
But I'm fighting for my life alone.
Yeah, living in Nebraska, very far away from Boston, Massachusetts. But
hey, if the Patriots don't draft Bo Rude, who knows what turns my life takes?
Yeah, honestly. Is that the reason you like Boston sports in general? Okay.
Oh, just because I got on the New England train, and then I was like, I probably should I just picked a city.
Okay, and that's how the Celtics became a thing? I guess I never even thought about it like that. Because for me, the Denver thing was just a coincidence. Like, I randomly picked the Broncos as my favorite team, in football, and the Nuggets is my favorite team in basketball. Not randomly, but like, the
Yours makes infinitely more sense than mine.
Yeah, proximity-wise, but also it's just kind of funny that I didn't mean to pick the same city in both those sports, but I did. And then after I was like, I grew up a little bit, I was like, well, these are my two favorite teams in those sports, so I'll just cheer for them in general across all sports. But
he actually has a full back tattoo of the Avalanche, for everyone wondering. Logan has one tattoo, and it's an entire full back art of the Avalanche.
Yeah. Going back or shouting back to that episode where I couldn't name like any player on the Avalanche, other than Alexander Gorgiev, and I think Connor McDavid is his first name, right? Connor, I don't know. I think there's another Mick name, but anyways, yeah. Sticking on basketball, I think that could do it for the West. Maybe we didn't really touch on the Kings too much.
Because I think that the unfortunate world we live in is. There's only 4 teams that have not any chance, but if any of the series in the first round, outside of maybe like the 4 or 5, if it's like Thunder Suns or T-Wolves Suns, I really feel like it'll be a 5 game series across the board. Sweeps are 5 games. I don't feel super confident about any of the teams just because of like. The whole West is strong, but the top of it is just kind of just crazy.
Yeah. At least the thing that makes it more interesting, though, is the teams that are at the top of the top, like the top 2, are like the new kids on the block. Yeah, and the teams that will probably match up with them first round, or that definitely could, are the teams with more old guard. Yeah, old guard or more pedigree. You could see the Suns there, you could see the Lakers, maybe even the Warriors matching up with one of those teams. So that would be a little bit more interesting, at least, with like the playoff experience factor going into it.
I also think that a little bit, but then I also think if anybody in the NBA is going to be like, I don't care, it's Ant. Just to be like, I guess. I don't really care.
Yeah,
but that's cool, but I'm going to try and win.
But the dichotomy of you having that belief in Ant, but then also you think that Karl-Anthony Towns is just, going to be nuking their chances to win anything.
I also feel like Ant maybe will ask Karl-Anthony Towns to just stop.
Yeah. But going over to the East, though, well, actually, let's take a pause for a second. Jazz, I think they're pretty out of it, though. They're a couple games out of the 10 spot. But outside of that, I mean, the Rockets got off to a really hot start this year, but they've slowed down quite a bit. They'll still probably hit their over on our over-under line game, which is, I think they need 32 wins to do that. So they only need to win 7 more games in the final stretch here, which they could probably, it's doable. It's definitely not guaranteed. But if they were not to win 7 more games this year, that means they would probably be having their worst stretch of the season right now, which is very possible also because of the tanking factor, which we should also probably dive into that at least somewhat soon, like our first preview into the draft a little bit. But that will be for another day. And the teams below them, Grizzlies, they're like done for sure with Ja and Steven Adams out. They're tanking for sure.
Steven Adams gone.
Oh yeah, Steven Adams is gone. He's not even on the roster anymore. I forgot about that. At the deadline, he got dealt to the Rockets actually. But
also, I want him to be a Celtic so bad.
That would be
not
beautiful.
For anything on just him. It'd be so
like the
cool.
the person, like the personality,
the person of Steven Adams. I just love it.
Yeah,
I'm content with our centers. We're doing just fine, but man, it would make my heart so happy.
But he would give you another good look though for a center for a matchup for like defending
against the
Embiid.
I was gonna say the alleged potential NBA champions last year of the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah,
I would take Steven Adams. That'd be nice to have. Mm-hmm. Not super I shouldn't say not worried. Obviously, I'm like literally stupid if I don't think the Nuggets will give the Celtics problems.
Yeah,
but I'm very happy with what we have defensively. Because our defense is pretty good. If people have not checked the defensive ratings,
yeah,
it's pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
It's first or second. I think it's second. I don't know if they've passed the T-Wolves, but the Celtics also had the like third hardest first half or pre-All-Star break of the season, and now have the third easiest schedule for the rest of the season.
Oh, really?
And they were like 6 games up on everyone. So that felt pretty good to read that, to be like, oh, wait, this is the home stretch? Like, it's an easy home stretch, as opposed to like I think it was the Sixers have the just gauntlet to end the regular season. So
yeah, Sixers have the gauntlet. Is that what you said?
I think if I remember, it was, or maybe it was the Bucks. There was some team high up in the East that had an absolute buzzsaw of like Western Conference teams that they needed to play. That'll just be just brutal.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And then the Celtics also have a lot of their stuff at home,
which
will be cool.
Yeah, for sure. The Nuggets, I know, have like the 5th or 6th easiest schedule remaining in the league.
Also less back-to-backs because they had a lot of them early.
Mm-hmm. And we just had another one coming back from All-Star break against 2 terrible teams, though, which was nice to get a little tune-up. But we will take a break here for a second before we move on to the next chapter of this conversation.
How's it going, YouTube? I just got done working outside. That's why I got my dirty hat on. I just heard from Logan that 0.6 of you are subscribed. Not 6%, 0.6%. Logan, editing Logan, below me. Shirley Brown. That's pathetic. Look at me. That's pathetic. We can do TikTok popping off. Facebook is going crazy. And YouTube, of all the places, 0.6% of you are subscribed that watch the videos. It's not hard. It is free. And it would give me warm, fuzzy feelings inside. That's all I'm asking. Not a lot. Honestly, it's a half a calorie to click a mouse button on the allotted area. Maybe a whole calorie if you count moving the mouse. Just please, click the subscribe button.
All right, and we are back. We took a little break there. But while we were gone, we started chatting a little bit about the college basketball news that's happening right now. And so before we get into the rest of today's episode, we're going to kind of have like the top of an episode type of rant from Jacob about what his thoughts are on this. So Jacob, take it away.
Jay Billis, do you hate fun? College basketball is not the NBA. Yes, I agree that they should have better rules, but you should not arrest people because they storm the court. If you want to take the fan passion out, sure, let's have a lower quality NBA basketball game where the players aren't as good and things aren't as polished, and then take out the only thing that brings college basketball up to a similar level of enjoyment for a lot of people in America that give you a job by watching you on ESPN, and take away the fan interaction and stuff. It just gets me gassed a little bit because I just think, yes, I'm not even going to call it a problem, but do you want student athletes getting hurt because stupid drunk people are running on the court? No, that's absolutely not what I'm trying to say. But do I think that we need to abolish court storming and put people in jail? That's craziness.
Yeah, the put people in jail part for sure. And my question on this is, like, what I've been confused about, I haven't looked into it too deep, so I might be totally wrong, but I'm confused by the whole, like, proposal, like, in and of itself, of banning court storming, because, I mean, I might be crazy, but isn't that already not allowed? You can't really stop it once people all decide to storm the court. It's
banning as in like making the punishment so aggressive for the school and or people that do it. It essentially just disappears. Like one of them, for every court storm, the school would be fined $1 million.
That is nuts.
Or you arrest everyone that does it, according to Jay Billis. And I probably on the minority, I usually am toe for toe, step for step with Jay Billis. I usually like where the man's coming from. But that was a level of delusion that I cannot get behind. The part that's separate, because NBA and college basketball are the same game, but different. They're completely different. They're different products. And part of the thing, at least for me, and I think a lot of other basketball fans, if you choose to like any version of college basketball, it's because of the variability and the fan passion and all of that bundled into one is what like brings it up to like, it's okay that the basketball's not as like polished and high quality and everyone's not as crazy good. Because you have this other extra element of just, like, jazz hands, essentially. So, cutting, like, just getting... And what I think they should do, and I've seen this kind of everywhere, I don't have a specific person to give the credit to, is make it like an intentional thing. Like, set up, like, ropes or something, and then have, like, a countdown. And then that would give people... And it doesn't, like, 30 seconds. Give them 30 seconds to get off the court or to get security to get around them, so when people are being dumb and running, they don't... Also, the thing that makes me mad is if it wasn't Duke, no one would care. If it wasn't a Duke person.
And also, one of the better players.
Yeah, it could have been, like, any of the guys that made the huddle around Filipowski.
Yeah.
And everyone would have just been like, that's unfortunate. Also, both of them flopped. Him and Caitlin Clark both flopped. Filipowski sold it a lot better than Clark did, where she was walking away wounded. But, like, I, in my heart of hearts, believe that man flopped.
So is he hurt, though?
No! He's a little sore. When you say the exact same thing that Caitlin Clark said, or the Iowa people said, oh, just a little sore. You know what would make me sore? Playing a college basketball game. I probably would be a little sore. And I get that, like, it is bad. Objectively, it is bad that the stupid drunk idiot I'm saying they're drunk, probably are. They just ran into someone that's, like, entire livelihood is keeping their body in shape and going to be playing in the NBA in months.
Mm-hmm.
But that means that we have to remove, like, court storming itself isn't the heart and soul of college basketball, but it's like that, like, I don't know. It just would be taking away an essence, a piece of it, and you'd be like, and whatever. People have already yelled at me and said, you just don't like it because your team never gets stormed on. Yeah, so? We're the Stormers. That doesn't bug me. Yeah, we're bad. If you look up a graphic, longest droughts in NCAA tournament wins, men's basketball. You know what's next to Nebraska? It's not a year. It says the word never. I'm aware. You don't need to bring it up.
Yeah.
We're a poverty program. We're on our way up, though. Anyway, I got a little bit unhinged on that one. I just think that, to me, that's like the same thing as, like, we had some players slip on confetti. No more confetti when you win the finals.
Yeah. My other question is, I saw some people talking about how he like shoved a fan, and I kind of saw, like, I didn't see a very good view, but I saw in the clip it looked like he had at least, like, extended his arm, did something to somebody right before he got hit. Was that anything? Like, is that
So to me, if this is, I'm going to go on the Duke side. Let me put on my Jason Tatum hat. I think that if there was a mob of people running at you, my instinct would probably be to be like, get away from me. Like,
yeah. The way he did it looked a little like he was just pissed and wanted to hurt somebody, though.
Very true. But I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt of, like, maybe it was like, because I don't know how it would react with, like, literally a wave of people running and I'm in the way and no way to get out.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do.
Yeah.
I also kind of see the, like, he definitely was like, I don't want to be here. And then reacted. But benefit of the doubt, maybe it was just like a, I don't want to say scared reaction, but just like a gut reaction to, like, shove.
He looked like he just kind of, like, at least from my memory, I guess I haven't looked at the clip too many times, but he was just kind of like walking, and without even looking, he just kind of like put his forearm out and was like, just wanted to hit the person that was about to run past him, and without, like, really looking around or anything like that, you know? It was just kind of like, bam. But I might be wrong.
No, you're definitely right, but I also want to...
Did you just watch the clip?
I just watched it again.
Cool.
Slow-mo makes... Like, most of the time, slow-mo, I think, gives us the right answer, but then slow-mo also can, like...
Make it look different.
Make it look portray a different story.
Yeah.
It's like inflection in someone's voice. If it's in slow-mo, it can feel a lot different. Because you watch it in live, it looks like he, like, almost stumbled on nothing and then hit the person.
Yeah.
But then like in full motion or in slow-mo, it looks like he like, it's weird.
Yeah.
Because it looks like the first elbow thing.
Uh-huh.
He like stumbles. It's a weird deal. I think it's just dumb. No, we should not get rid of court storming or field storming or anything.
That's fair.
The other thing is, it wasn't a buzzer beater. Duke knew they lost. They knew it was coming. Get off. Have some urgency. Not like to be a jerk, but like...
They didn't need to really be on the court at the final buzzer.
He could have... The other thing, you could have walked to the other side of the court and walked around. Got out of the way. But this dude just slow-mo walked through the whole center.
Mm-hmm.
Because also, if you think about it, he's pretty much right on midcourt.
Yeah.
He probably knew. See, I flipped to the other side already. Flipped on to the other side. Sorry, that was terrible. Filipowski to the other side. He saw them coming. He had an entire half court. Over half court. He knew it was coming. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm definitely not on his team anymore. But apparently, it was just an ESPN person that proposed the $1 million school fine for court storming.
There's an ESPN person?
Yeah, Seth Greenberg.
Oh, yeah.
They have to implement a 1-minute grace period, which is lame, I think. Or the home basketball team is the one that storms the student section. Like the home squad goes full like Jerome Tang and jumps into the student section as opposed to vice versa. Because everybody knows the only people that storm the court is the student section. Duh.
What? I'm so confused. So they jump into the student section.
The home team, because it's usually obviously...
Oh, the players.
The players jump into the student section.
That's just complete role reversal of like who has the energy of doing you know what I mean? That doesn't make any sense. Like the fans are the ones going crazy. Why would the players? I mean, they're happy, but why are they gonna just run into like? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's very dumb.
Okay, yeah. That was Seth Greenberg that said that?
Yep.
Well, him and Jay Billis are like two of the biggest college basketball analysts there are. But yeah, some weird opinions there. I guess I'm not a college basketball person, so I might be, not in agreement with what the majority of that community feels, I guess. But yeah, I'm not sure.
I was making sure that I was not misattributing the one that said that they all should all be detained and given citations.
Uh-huh.
That was Jay Billis. I did not want to misattribute the stupid idea to anyone else.
Uh-huh. Makes sense. That was very good. You did your due diligence on that one.
And like I said, Jay Billis says some things that makes a lot of other people mad. I'm usually on like, okay, I get it. I see where we're coming from. Not this one. This one I'm about as anti... If Jay Billis is Christ, I'm... Never mind.
What were you about to say?
The Antichrist.
Oh. Okay.
What did you think I was going to say?
I didn't know if you said
Pontius
Christ.
Pilate or something?
I didn't know if you said Christ or not, because like just hearing you say if he was Christ, I was like, where is that going to go?
Yeah, but... no, I'd be the anti because I'm anti, but that's not good. That's a bad analogy. Borderline blasphemous, probably. Anyway,
yeah.
NBA news.
Mm-hmm. Or not really news, but kind of news. The Nuggets, they're rolling ever since coming back from the All-Star break. Nikola Jokic has just been on a bender right now. In a positive way.
Yeah. Not one that would cause him to die younger.
Yeah.
Based on liver failure.
Yeah, no, a bender of just putting up the biggest numbers possible, eating on the Wizards and or who did we play? The Wizards and another bad team. I can't remember now.
Hornets?
Was it Hornets? It might have been the Hornets.
Well, he also kind of feasted against the Warriors. I don't know if you classify them as bad, but Draymond needs to retire.
I mean, they were playing him pretty well. That was what was weird about that game is it didn't feel like that game was near as easy to him as the other ones were. But he put up an even better stat line in that one. He had 32, 16, and 16, I believe. And 4 steals on top of that, which this also... I've been like avoiding most Jokic topics this year. So now that I'm reminded of it, there's this graphic that I don't know if you've seen this, but there was this graphic going around. It was probably a few weeks ago now, but it was showing, it was like Jokic blocks on the season versus Fred VanVleet. And it was like how Fred VanVleet is 6 foot and Jokic is 6'11", and he has like one more block than him or something. And I would just like to say, in defense of Jokic, to be fair, the vast majority of Jokic's shot blocks, like or block shots, are when he like swipes down on the ball as soon as the player is like gathering or starting to go up in their shooting motion. That is the vast majority of his shot contests, essentially. And those are never logged as blocks. I have a problem with that. I feel like that's stupid. I don't know who decided that's the way you do it, but they essentially get treated the same as a deflected pass, like a pass tip, because if the Nuggets recover the ball after he hits the ball there, it gets logged as a steal. But if the other team, the Nuggets, do not gather the ball, we do not recover the ball, then it gets...
Big ol' nothing.
Yeah, it gets logged down as a deflection, which most people don't even look at or get, know that's like a tracked thing. But the thing I'll point out, he leads all centers the past 3 years now in a row in both of those categories, deflections and steals. I'm sure those plays have a lot to do with it, and it just takes away from his block column.
I was also going to say, we should just compare their point guard numbers.
Yeah, or that, honestly.
Jokic is 6'11". Why does he have so many assists? Jokic is 6'11". Why does he have a comparable amount of steals to Fred VanVleet? He's only 6 foot.
Mm-hmm.
That's a stupid argument. You're dumb, and I'm dumber for hearing it. Not you, but having to hear about that graphic irritates me.
Yeah.
Because if it was like if it was like Rudy Gobert where he doesn't have the point guard numbers, that would be wild.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? Jokic has better point guard stats than the point guard.
Mm-hmm.
So cool that he has one more block.
Or whatever it was. I guess I don't remember if it was one more, but
just more blocks within a reasonable window. Mm-hmm. If Fred VanVleet's putting down like 50 more blocks a season than Jokic, there's a problem. Like, Jokic needs to figure something.
Yeah, for sure.
Jokic should probably figure something out. Like, even if he's doing a lot of things great, if 6 foot on the nose Fred VanVleet is somehow saucing up like an aggressive amount more blocks, but it's not that. Mm-hmm. And so that's just silly.
And just the fact that, like, I just don't like this narrative of people questioning him in that department when it's like literally last season alone, or maybe that's been 2 years ago now. It feels like a while ago. Maybe that was last year or 2 years ago. I don't know. But one of those seasons, just in that season alone, there were literally 4 separate games that we won the game off of a game-winning block at the rim, like a traditional-looking block.
Meet me at the rim type of block.
From Nikola Jokic in the same season. That is a very rare thing. 4 in the same season of just a game at the very end gets won because he blocked a shot at the rim. There's no way that he is like a massive defensive liability.
No, I think that the defensive liability thing has been, I don't want to say exploded, but it's because he's not like traditional center defense guy.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have to do that because he has other people to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And he just plays his role. And guess what? They won a title because of it.
And he might be I still think he might be the most important person on our defense, though. Even though it's not always him involved, like making the play. If people would watch every Nuggets game, I know that that's a tedious thing, and like obviously people aren't going to do that. But just like the other night watching the Warriors game, like when we were down pretty big, pretty early in the first quarter, or actually kind of late in the first quarter, but it was still within the beginning quarter of the game. And Jokic only had a few minutes left to be on the court because he's going to be taken off at like the 3 to 2 minute mark usually of the first quarter. He's like, well, when I go out, obviously, the team starts to struggle and we're down by quite a bit right now. So we need to string something together here really quick. And so he hits a 3 on the one possession. And then the next possession up the floor, he's like, he does this multiple times every game. Yeah, just every game. He's pointing to everybody where to go and just communicating to people like what's going to happen. And like, now you're going to catch the ball up here and you're going to pass it to that guy or and then like we get points out of it. It's like it's crazy to watch where he just literally every single thing that happens, he's like telling everybody that's the next step. Do that now, and now this is gonna happen, and then he just forces the defense into a situation where now he can read two players because it's going to be an advantage where a defender has to pick somebody and he just goes to the other person. So
it's like a football RPO. Read a guy or a zone read. You just pick a guy and then go to the one that is better.
Exactly. And so he does that same type of thing that he does on the offensive end. He does that on the defensive end as well. He's always pointing out different actions that are happening where people need to be. Whenever he sees or hears, this happens all the time when he's at the free throw line, when they have a play call, when he hears the other team's play call, he'll just do a motion or something like that.
Yep. The pistol's the big famous one, I think, from the Heat.
In the finals.
He's taking the free throw and he hears him yell, so then he starts doing it and then it shows up. No, I think not in terms of his physical defensive capabilities, which are not defensive player of the year level, but I think his defensive mind is. He's just that good. I mean, there's guys that just have, there's the Rudy Gobert that can do everything for you, can do all of your center things defensively, but I mean, he's their quarterback on offense and defense, and that's pretty apparent if you watch, I'd say even 41 of the Nuggets games, you would be able to figure out that Jokic is kind of the shot caller for just the team.
Yeah. It's just to me, it's just that stat that is always made fun of, of he's led the entire NBA the past 4 years now. This is the fourth year in a row that he's leading the league in defensive box plus minus. And people just laugh and say that's a flawed stat because obviously it has to be because Jokic is number one year after year. But if you look at all of the other people on that list, the vast majority of all the people in that top 20 are all people that are defensive player of the year candidates or all defensive team guys. It's why is he the only anomaly? Also,
why is he the only one it's a flawed stat for?
Yeah.
Why is it not flawed for? Why is it not Fred VanVleet, Jokic, Buddy Hield, a bunch of all-time offensive or defensive players? Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm sarcasm.
Yeah. But also, I would say that the other thing with that is if people want to treat it like it's this weird random thing that doesn't mean anything, literally all it's doing, it's not a thing that's set up to be oh, look, Jokic is a great defender. All it's saying is that teams score less against the Nuggets compared to what they do on average when Jokic is on the court. Which that doesn't mean nothing. You know what I mean? That you have to take that into account at least somewhat.
I think that's the most pro Jokic stat because he doesn't have the counting stats, but in the most just quite literally his presence on the court repeatedly means something.
It causes the opposing team to score at a less efficient level more so than any other player. That's what it's saying. That is. I mean, I get it. You can't look at that and just be oh, that guy's the best defensive player then. But
no, because that would also be flawed. That would be equally as flawed.
Of course. But it also, I feel it's at least enough for you to be he's probably not a terrible defensive player. He's probably at least neutral, at least.
At the worst, yeah.
Yeah. But
yeah.
Anyways, just wanted to get that out of my system. But
we haven't had a Nuggets corner in a while. That was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
So I think that can be an it on the Nuggets.
And kind of the West. Was there any other West that we need to touch on?
I don't think so. I think we're good with the West. We did that pretty thoroughly. We'll go over the East in a quicker manner.
Because the East has a lot less going for it. The only thing is, looking at the East, Boston is, unless someone, something crazy happens, will be the 1 seed. 7.5 game bubble. It's pretty safe, I would say.
Yeah.
Cleveland has been playing really well. I know they dropped a game recently, but they were on kind of a tear before the All-Star break. And they kind of smelled blood in the water when the Sixers lost Embiid. And they were the biggest capitalizers of... They really started to turn it up right when that happened. So Cleveland's sitting at the 2 seed. Milwaukee's at the 3 seed, a game back from Cleveland. The Knicks are right behind them. They were playing really well, then they had a really bad slide as they're 4-6 in their last 10. And then the Sixers are 3-7 in their last 10, soon to be 3-8 as they are down to the Celtics currently while we're recording. And the Heat are bouncing back and forth between a really bad run and then a really good run. As they were really struggling probably 2 weeks before All-Star break, but then they got things kind of sort of figured out coming out of the All-Star break.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
it's still up in the air there. And then after that, I mean, it's going to be the Pacers, Magic, Bulls, and Hawks probably in the play-in. The 7 and 8. So pretty much the Sixers through the Magic will rotate, I think, is the 4 that I could see shuffling around. And who's going to be in the play-in. But I think the final 8 teams will end up being what the 8 teams are now. Pacers struggling a little bit. So there's a quick rundown. Logan, any specific team that's piquing your interest that you wanted to touch on?
Well, I mean, I think the Celtics are the obvious favorite in the East, and I believe they're on a 65-game pace. Yeah. So,
which I think also puts into perspective, like, how insane that Warriors run was. Like, that was a level of insanity that is kind of, or the Bulls, whatever way you want to look at it, to win that many games is crazy. Like,
yeah, for sure. Because 65, I mean, that's like, not many teams have done that. That's got to be, I mean, it's like
65 is
20-ish.
So. Like not exclusive, but a very small club. My bold hot take, I think the Celtics beat 65 because they're on pace for 65, but they have one of the easiest schedules in the second half with a lot of just, no disrespect, but playing the Hawks and the Bulls. Like when these are your road games, the Wizards on the road, always tough.
Mm-hmm.
Having to go to, is it Pfizer?
That's Milwaukee.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what I'm thinking.
Can't.
They do have to play Milwaukee once or twice maybe, but they have a lot of... Every game, every team in the NBA is a winnable game for the Celtics, and I would wager that say most of them are easy. They do have the Nuggets one more time, so there's another chance for a loss. It is also in Denver, which makes it more likely to be a loss than a win, I would say, probably.
Yeah.
But we'll see how... I'm hoping we get another... all-timer like we did last time. They duked it out.
It was a great game. But yeah, actually, the Wizards arena, I thought, I almost said it because I was like, I feel like it's the Capital One arena, but then I questioned myself because it's like, maybe I just think that because Capital and it's DC. Mm-hmm. But it is actually Capital One arena. So all-time naming job on that one. But yeah, so I think that the Celtics, they might have a better stretch because of the strength of the schedule thing that you were saying, but the only thing I would caution is maybe look out for something that happened to the Nuggets last year, which was just kind of coasting into the postseason. Because I really wanted the Nuggets last year to beat the franchise record in wins, which is 57, I believe. So to get to 58, but they did not do that, even though they were well on pace to at one point.
Yep, and that's the other thing that I have thought about this a little bit, but. In terms of coasting, you sit 2 guys a night. Against a lot of these teams, I still think a combo of Jason Tatum and Drew Holiday would probably be enough to beat some teams. Or a combination of Kristaps and JB, or Derek White and Kristaps. Or I think that you could shuffle the people around in a lot of different ways and let a lot of guys sit for mystery. That's one of my favorite pastimes is, what is Al Horford's pretend injury today? My favorite one that so far this season has been a left big toe sprain. Yeah. That's been my favorite one so far. Because it's so specific.
Do you think that maybe do you think all of them are, not all of them obviously, but do you think these ones are actually fake, or do you think they're just maybe an injury that most times he would probably play through, but this time he's just choosing to keep him out?
Over-exaggerated injuries is probably a better term for it than fake, because you don't want to say fake, but left big toe sprain, that feels probably a little weird.
He probably just stubbed his left big toe, something like that.
Something that would not keep anyone out of an NBA basketball game unless you were the I mean, it kind of feels weird, but the 7th guy, eighth guy,
Al Horford, you're saying?
Yeah. On a 45-win team, where they're just like, you can do whatever, we don't care. It's also always one of the back-to-backs. Those are the only times it ever happens. So that's why it feels like it's probably not fake. It probably is something real, but it's just kind of like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But
but also effort though is the other thing, because like Nuggets, I mean, we did like rest some people a little bit, but I'd say the main thing was people like players, especially Jokic, and everything just kind of trickled down from there. So I don't know about the Celtics, the temperament of like Tatum and Brown. I don't know if they're going to be that apathetic. I'm sure they'll probably still be locked in for the most part.
If maybe not to the same level as like they are or will be hopefully in the playoffs, but apathetic is not a word that I think that either of them I would jump to for either of them.
Yeah.
Pretty much ever, I don't think.
Yeah.
Because Kobe's sense. Like both of their guy. Yeah. Both of them are like big Kobe guys. So if they showed up apathetic, I feel like that would be wildly just backwards.
Yeah. And you know who Jokic's guy is?
Does he have one?
Yeah.
They would also not shock me.
He does, I feel. I mean, I don't know. I might be speaking Zerbiak? For him. Wally like Zerbiak? So you said?
That was a random poll.
No, it's like an all-time great, but same era as Kobe.
Tim Duncan?
Yep, Tim Duncan. I feel like it's probably him just because he's talked about him the most in terms of when people ask him who he has looked at the most.
Never as blatantly as Brandon Miller saying Paul George is my GOAT.
Yeah.
Paul George also, I apologize to Playoff P. This man has so many young people saying that he's their GOAT. He's their guy.
I mean, he's like the prototypical like NBA player, honestly.
But I did not realize that he had that much
influence.
Like I didn't realize that there's so many guys that would skip Kobe, not skip LeBron. There's obviously a lot of guys that say LeBron's their like guy they model, but Paul George is an insane amount of just straight bucket getters guys.
Well, I don't know about straight bucket getter. Oh, Cam Thomas said Paul George?
I think so.
Really? Wow, that surprises me. But I get like the people modeling their game after Paul, because like it makes way more sense for a young player entering the league who's like that size of wing, 6'6" through 6'9" wing. It makes way more sense for that player his goal to be like model his game after Paul George rather than LeBron. Like, because like to model your game after LeBron is like,
it wouldn't work.
It would, yeah. It just, I mean, if you would be like a scaled down version of LeBron, you probably wouldn't be
Scoot Henderson.
Scoot Henderson. You'd probably be not that valuable of a player. I would say.
I'm just kidding. I think Scoot Henderson will get it figured out.
Oh, you meant size-wise. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I was saying, scaled down as in like
the level of talent.
Like a great value LeBron means that you have no purpose. You're useless.
Basically, because I mean, what are you going to you can't shoot. You're a point forward that is like not good enough to be like the engine of a team probably. And so then like you're gonna have a limited number of spots, in the league.
You know what's making me laugh?
What?
Do you know who you're describing? Philadelphia legend.
But yeah, Ben Simmons. Yeah, that's pretty spot on.
Where he had like a moment where it's like maybe, and then it turned into like, nope.
But at least he's like a all defense level defender, an all NBA.
Also, everyone that posts pictures of Ben Simmons, I've noticed, always post the pictures of him in the Chinese night Brooklyn Nets t-shirts.
Oh.
I've seen like 6 or 7 different pictures of Ben Simmons in the past like 2 weeks, and all of them are that shirt. And I know it's just like a haha ironic, but Ben Simmons and then the Chinese shirts, I feel like there's like a low-key underlying, this is kind of funny joke.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Oh no, I'm sure. That's interesting. I didn't know they had like a Chinese. Is it just like the Nets because of Joe Tsai, I'm guessing?
I just know that I've seen it's just like a Chinese dragon with Chinese font in the back, and it's red and yellow, and it's got the Brooklyn Nets logo just stamped in the middle of it. And I don't even know if they wore it recently. Like, I think that they like went into the folders and dug looking I feel like it's all intentional. It's probably not, but anyway.
Yeah. I mean, but I guess what I was saying though, like Paul George being like a prototype of a player, he's really good. He's an all-star, but Paul George scaled down is a really valuable role player. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like any team would want that player.
Every team wants a
3 and
you don't have to be the all-star level Paul George, but a 3. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. So like if you start with the basis of like good shooter and really valuable defender who can switch, and that's just like your base, like make sure you have those skills, and now you can develop on top of that all these other areas to make yourself a star. Like I think that's just the way to go, because then no matter what, you have that fail safe for that
core
thing to fall back on. Like no matter what, at least I can do this, and that will keep me in the NBA. So I don't see that ending anytime soon.
No, like the way the league is moving, there's 3-and-D will always be a valuable piece
for sure. But who knows with like what you suggested in the first half of this episode, or not suggested, but brought up that if like major rules and stuff is changed, I don't know what, like that could alter the geometry of everything. And who knows?
I think that makes 3-and-D guys even more valuable. They can handle ISO one-on-one, man-on-man defense, because no one's going to want to go in the paint because there's some freak in the paint that just is just a monster. So everyone will just be like, okay, then I'll get my mid-ranges, my perimeter shots to the best of my ability. So that guy that can handle anybody on a one-on-one is going to be almost more valuable than the already maybe most valuable role player a team can have.
Yeah. I was about to say maybe, I think you're right that it would be even more valuable. Shooting would be, which is just weird to think about, but like going 5 out would be the way to go, because now there's not like a rule that's giving you a break of, pulling the defense out of the paint, because that exists right now just by default. But if you don't have that at all, I'd say the way to go is just make sure that everybody can shoot. And so if somebody wants to camp out in the paint, they have to sag off of somebody that can shoot.
Yeah. Okay.
So then if you have shooting like through 5 players on your lineup, and somebody just wants to camp out in the paint, you can just drive on them, dish it out to that guy in the corner, whoever he's sagging off of. And then obviously the defense will probably scramble to that guy to close out. Then you swing it to the other open guy. All of those guys are shooting options. That would be definitely the way to combat or start playing, which is already kind of how a lot of offenses work, but that would become definitely even more.
It would just become like even more advantageous for an offense to do that, especially when you run into the Go Bears or honestly, like the Lakers. That'd be another team where you would be like, oh, you mean I don't have to run at Anthony Davis and try to score?
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Or AD's not going to be able to roam very easily because there's nobody he can sag off of.
Yeah. But then it would also take some teams and make them better. Like the more switchable your defense is, then in theory, because you can have anybody switch to be that guy that's kind of sort of protecting the paint, it makes that guy even more, almost in a weird way, a guy that can stay out of the paint, but stay in it. Pretty much putting less rules on your rotating what Robert Williams was for the Celtics or what Kristaps is now, or kind of sort of what Aaron Gordon does on the backside for the Nuggets when he's not primary. How he kind of helps with that backside with when Jokic is the handling whatever's coming into the paint.
Yeah.
It would make those guys be able to just sit, obviously, wherever they want to.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, true.
That's an interesting, that would just restart everything over. It's a reset.
Yeah. Which is why I kind of don't want it to happen, honestly. But I get the wanting to try to alter the way the game has kind of evolved, where it's become a lot more. I just think the thing they need to get rid of is the stupid foul hunting things. It's obviously that was not a basketball move. Just get rid of those.
Give better definitions of what a basketball move is.
Yeah.
When it comes to, and I don't know how you do it.
Just like the video clip of when this happens almost every night watching games, where somebody is driving and then they jolt into the defender that is trying to stay in front of them. They put their shoulder into them and then just go up with a nothing shot and go to the free throw line. It's like, why is that a foul?
Yeah.
You created all of the contact there, and like, you did not need to go through them in order to get to your shot. You went out of your way to do that. Yeah. So those plays is what I would like to get rid of, because that gets guys like Joel Embiid and plenty of players, even Jimmy Butler a little bit, but I mean, he's not as bad as the foul grifting. A lot of his are just like putting his head down and getting to the rim and fighting through contact. Yep. But yeah,
Trae Young, James Harden, Devin Booker's kind of turned into that.
Yep.
Anybody that you like, oh yeah, their offense. Mm-hmm. Most of those guys do that.
Mm-hmm. Ant, I'm going to shout out, is one of the best ones at not doing any, like, that hurts his game, honestly, that he's like against drawing fouls. But
Ant is a football player that just plays basketball. And I think that's what explains so much about it. Like the way that he just does everything. Mm-hmm. I think he's just a football player that has like no regard for his own body playing basketball.
Yeah.
He's like a freak athlete that goes to like a big high school and only plays basketball his senior year and is accidentally the best player. That's just what Ant is as a basketball. It's just endlessly entertaining.
Yeah, I've heard,
to me at least.
I think it was at the Team USA stuff in the FIBA World Cup. Like, coaches were talking about how they were trying to get him to. He said that this was happening with the Wolves too, but he said that he's had coaches giving him pointers on how to get to the line more. And like what to do in like certain situations, like, you know, adopt the rip through move and stuff like that. Yep. And he's like, he just says that he tells them no every time. He's like, no, I'm not doing that. He's like,
oh man,
I'm not doing that. I just want to get like fight through actual contact or like, you know, stuff like that.
Is Ant a guy that we were too disrespectful about face of the league? Did we not talk about Ant at all?
I don't remember if we did, honestly, but I feel like we should have for sure.
He's definitely one of those, like, that everyone, and he won't have the divisiveness about him, like the LeBron or like the big, but he will have that, like, he'll make people that even don't like him be like, that was pretty cool, or that was pretty funny, or
no, for sure,
like Ant in a dunk contest.
That is what we need, and like that's a good conversation, really fast.
I'd bet money that his dog would be in one of his dunks.
His dog.
He loves his dog. His dog is its own Twitter page.
Oh, really?
I follow it.
Is it a bulldog or what is it?
Yep.
It just that seems like that's who, like, what it would. But maybe just because he went to Georgia is why I think that. I don't know, but
maybe. But it is a bulldog. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I'm not smart with dogs, but I'm pretty confident that it's a bulldog,
or at least like a pit bull, which is technically it's an American bulldog is the other name for the pit bull.
No way.
What?
That blows my mind.
What?
I didn't know that.
Oh,
that a pit bull is just an American bulldog.
Yeah. So there's English bulldogs, there's American bulldogs, and there is French bulldogs. All of them look very different. The American bulldog is a pit bull. It looks I mean, you can tell that it's related to a bulldog by its face, but it's like a bigger, more muscular, more menacing dog for sure. But yeah, anyways, what we just brought up, though, the dunk contest thing, I mean, that was last episode, but you mentioned, I liked your quote saying that next year will be, because of Jaylen Brown, it will be Ja Morant, Victor Wembanyama, LeBron James, and who's the fourth? Mac McClung to defend his title. On like my perfect or my ideal,
your current dream Mount Rushmore, not Mount Rushmore, that means they've done it, but what you would like, you just get given 2K, put 4 people in the dunk contest.
Yeah. I would say Anthony Edwards is in there for sure. Zion is in there for sure.
Yep.
And I would throw Ja in there as well. So there's 3. And man, who would the 4th person be? I've thought about Shaedon Sharpe a lot, but he's not like a star, you know? That would be kind of weird. He'd be the odd man out there. Out of those guys.
I think, I mean, it wouldn't be the same as like young LeBron, but I think just seeing LeBron in a dunk contest would be cool.
Yeah, but I feel like that most people would just be disappointed.
That's true, because he wouldn't be able to do the same athletic things that other people would do.
I mean, would he be any better than Jaylen Brown?
That's true.
And
the cool part of both of those guys would be like, they could do it in the game too.
Yeah, that's like Jaylen Brown's in-game dunks are like insane.
Do we think Anthony Davis could do anything Swifty?
No. I mean, it's not. It wouldn't be like boring, but it wouldn't be like a ideal.
One of the Thompson? No, that's not the same level.
That would be interesting though.
Both of them make it 5 people.
Yeah, I mean, we've had plenty of dunk contests that are 6 people. They usually do either
Aaron
4
Gordon?
or 6. I mean, if we want to go ideal, I would go.
We bring out Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon.
Bring them back. Yeah, that would be nuts.
There's got to be some big like freak athlete. Oh, Giannis, that'd be kind of nice. But his would be the same. I think too many of the guys that I think would all have the quote unquote Jaylen Brown problem.
Yeah.
I've watched you do that in a game. It's a cool dunk, but not that cool. Also, did you see Jacob Toppin's finals dunk that he was saving?
No. Like
it would have been a 60. It was gross. Okay, I will find the video and send it to you so you can watch it after.
Is it the one that he fakes going in between the legs? Because I saw a video of something about that, I thought. And I saw in the comments somebody say, this is what Jacob Toppin was going to do, or something like that. I don't know. But,
oh, no. So he 360, throws it behind his back, and then slams it with both hands.
360, throws it behind his back.
So he jumps up in 360s, like rocks it in his left hand and throws it behind his back. And as he keeps spinning, he grabs it and then dunks it. I'll just send you the video.
Yeah, that is so hard to imagine what the words, like what you just described.
It has been sent.
Okay.
Anyway, do we have anything else for the East that we want to talk about?
We really did not even talk about anything, honestly.
That's true. We just talked about the Celtics at the top.
Yeah. But yeah, Jalen Green. I'll just finally give a fourth guy. Jalen Green would be a cool dunk contest dunker also. But yeah, Eastern Conference, the Sixers, we kind of talked about them pre-show, but they're like, it would be interesting to watch them, see if they slide too far, like how far they do slide. I think that it'd be hard for them to slide out of the top 8 because of that gap between Orlando and Chicago.
After tonight, I think they would slide to 8, but they still would have a rather comfortable, like, 4.5 game bubble.
On the Bulls, yeah. Now, who knows what the Bulls' direction is going to be the rest of the season, if they're going to be trending upward or downward. I have no idea.
And then the Hawks are another 2 games behind that. These top teams have enough of like a cushion that it would be shocking for anything to happen that would move any of these top 8 teams. Obviously, positionally, Celtics won. Everything else is kind of up in the air, relatively. Like, probably Cleveland, Milwaukee, New York in some order for 2, 3, 4. And then 5 through 8 is the rest of the squads kind of shuffled around. New York might drop a little lower. I'm not sure. But yeah, there's definitely tiers to the East as opposed to the West is like just a block of good.
But I would say I think the West does have a pretty definitive top 4 at this point.
Yes.
Because that's the main drop, I would say. There's a 4-game drop between 4 and 5 in the West. Which that was the 4-5 matchup in the playoffs last year. Clippers, Suns. Just flipped around.
Also, just because I want to keep hyping it up, the Celtics have a bigger lead on this 2 seed in the East than the Timberwolves do of the 8 seed of the Mavericks.
That is true. That is factual information.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, the gap between 1 and 2 in the East is bigger than the gap between 1 and 8 in the West.
And the Lakers are far enough behind the Mavs. It's almost because after tonight, it would go up to another game.
Warriors are 9 now, according to my standings.
Oh, did they win?
Looks like it.
I should hit the refresh button.
Yeah, they're 9th.
They did win. The refresh button has been hit.
But they're tied with the Lakers games back wise.
Also, apparently, we missed a Max Strus game winner while we were talking about the dunk contest.
Oh, so who'd they beat?
They beat Dallas.
Oh, okay.
Cleveland beat Dallas.
Oh, and so Dallas dropped 2, right? They weren't at 8, were they before?
They were at 8.
Like in the first half of this episode, though. I mean, or they might have been.
Oh no, I think they were because I didn't refresh until just now. Like when I said, "Oh, I need to refresh."
Yeah, and that they were not at 8 before that, or they were.
They were always at 8. I think.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. But yeah, so the East though, finishing them off. The Knicks, I don't know if they're like a real championship contender. Like I just feel like the East is way weaker than the West. Like
Except for the tippy top, for sure.
Yeah, it's just the Celtics. And everybody else is just kind of like, I don't really believe in them.
Well, no, because it's just like simple as T-Wolves or Cavs. T-Wolves. Thunder or Cavs. Thunder. Yeah. Nuggets or Cavs. Nuggets. Clippers or Cavs. Clippers.
Suns or Cavs.
Then that's when it gets to like I lean Cavs probably because they're hot right now.
But like taking them seriously as a championship contender.
Because they haven't done it. Probably Suns. Suns have gotten a little farther.
Yeah.
Kind of.
In a vacuum, I'd probably lean Suns, but maybe because of how empty the East is, like they have a pretty easy path to the conference finals. Cavs could maybe have a little bit better of a chance than, I don't know. And I'm a Cavs guy. But, I should be at least, but.
Yeah. But my point is we got to 5, and then I think Cavs over New Orleans for sure. That's not really a question. Right?
Yeah, I would say so.
So, in terms of the how does it feel test, the Cavs would be the 6 seed, but they're the 2 seed. Interesting exercise, if we do Bucks, who are the 3 seed, Bucks or T-Wolves.
I was just about to say, let's just dive into the Bucks really quick. But Bucks or T-Wolves? Obviously T-Wolves. Well, actually, no, I don't know.
Well, the Bucks just beat the T-Wolves like 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
This weekend.
But in the playoffs, that's the thing I don't know about with the Bucks. It's like their range is pretty large because Doc Rivers is like a bad omen, Having Doc Rivers as your head coach heading into a playoff year is a bad omen.
When and the struggles have already started.
Yeah. And then Giannis has been doing great for the most part, but Dame is having probably his career worst year.
I wonder who could have thought that was going to happen.
Did you think that was going to happen? I don't remember you predicting that.
That the Bucks were going to be baddish?
Oh, I thought you said that. Okay, I thought you were talking about Dame having his worst season.
Oh, that Dame was directly going to be bad? No. Okay. But I was, with my chest, confident that the Bucks would not be a problem for the Celtics.
Yeah.
And I, with my chest, will still say that.
Uh-huh. In our first episode doing power rankings, I don't know, a handful of games.
I put the Bucks at 9.
You had them at 6, but still, it was like, at the time, it was like, really? But honestly,
it's like my Hawks.
Just a few weeks after that, it was like, that's not crazy at all.
And now it's almost like, that's too high.
Maybe.
Well, that's also, that definitely is too high.
I mean, it wouldn't be crazy for somebody to put them there, but that's...
Oh, at 6, that's probably actually right. Celtics, Thunder, T-Wolves. No, that's not in order. I'm just saying the teams as they came to my brain. I needed to make that... it's the top 4 of the West, and then the top 2 of the East I'm saying the Bucks are above the Cavs, because I feel like they are in my brain. Mm-hmm. The Bucks would be the bottom of that 16.
That would make sense. Yeah, that would be a perfect spot for him. But Dame, though, he shoots well from the line, it looks like, but he has dropped off for his 3-point percentage, only shooting 34% from the 3-point line, and not really finishing inside, getting to the rim near as much as he used to. Yeah, he's shooting 42% from the field as a whole. So, obviously, I don't know. I just feel like what would help is doing, a pick and roll game with Giannis. And this is something I've harped on quite a bit on this podcast already, but just Giannis buying into the roller role, being able to screen and roll and do that job, because that's what he's built for. That's he's one of the perfect human beings to play that role. And Dame would that would free Dame up for a lot easier possessions, a lot more, high quality looks than what he's getting. And so maybe that would help. But I think also just with age, he's having this decline happen as well, which is just unfortunate that, the Bucks went all in kind of and made this big move right when Dame is starting to go down. Because last year, you could argue, was Dame's best season of his career.
If he didn't get kind of sort of shut down at the end.
Oh, well, yeah. But I mean, he how he was playing. Just Dame last season was arguably peak Dame.
Kinda, yeah.
I mean, he had
yes,
he was averaging 32 points per game. He scored 71 in a game. It was just he had a lot of his career high moments last season.
Yes. Counterpoint, and this is egregious to say about Dame because I do think he's a very good basketball player. Bad team, good stats.
Yeah.
Hyperinflate. Obviously, it's Dame. They were nobody could just go out and score 70. That's not just a thing you can do. But
yeah. I mean, there were a decent team while he played last year. Not like they were like below, like middle of the road, but like they were like a fighting for the play-in for sure. So they weren't like garbage.
Yeah.
But like it's just I would agree with you. I would probably say peak Dame was probably a couple of years ago or a few years ago now, like when the Blazers were maybe like that Western Conference Finals run, or maybe the year after that where Denver beat them in the playoffs that year in the second round, but or no, in the first round actually. Yeah, in 2021. But still, that was like a great Dame year. I think he scored like almost 60, I think, in a playoff game that year. So yeah, that might have been peak Dame. But all I'm saying is Dame last year was as good as Dame has been. You know, like at the very least, you can say that. Dame last year was at his peak still.
Yeah.
And now this year, it's like a pretty aggressive decline all of a sudden. And that is just not bode well at all for the Bucks' chances. But yeah, so I guess the Bucks, it's just going to be hard for them to try to pull things together here when, those are the problems facing them. They've got a lot of aging stars, not aging stars, but one aging star and a few other aging players, I guess. Chris Middleton is a star, and Brook Lopez has been an all-star before. So
I think that they are both very far from that at this moment in time.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Especially, unfortunately, Chris Middleton, because I've said it, injuries are the absolute worst.
Mm-hmm. They really are. Yeah, so I think that will be where we end today's episode. It was a good one. It was a great one. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you for listening. Please check out all the stuff. Follow the feed. Join the Patreon. Buy me a coffee. All of that stuff. Thank you for listening. Stay happy, stay healthy, and we will talk to you guys next episode.
Peace!